Mint and chocolate ice cream cake. It is an absolute delight, and this is what I'm requesting for my birthday this year. What I love about it is it has a base of beautiful chocolate cake and then of course the ice cream, and we're going to make it all from scratch. We start in a bowl. You don't even need a mixer for this. Some plain flour. To that I'm going to add some leavening agents, so some bicarb and some baking powder. In that goes. We'll give that a bit of a mix to combine that, and then some salt, some caster sugar, and give that a good mix. And to this, I'm going to add the chocolate. Now I'm going to use some Dutch cocoa powder. I like the Dutch cocoa powder because it's much smoother in flavour. So we'll just stir that through. All right, let's make a little well in the centre. We're going to start adding the liquid. So into a jug, I'll add some buttermilk, and this is the key to making the crumb of this cake so decadent and moist. So buttermilk along with 1 egg. We'll break that into the jug. To that, I'll also add some vegetable oil. Again, this is going to keep the cake really, really tender. And for some extra flavour, vanilla bean paste, about a teaspoon. Okay, now we're going to give that a really good whisk and combine everything together. Great. All right, into the centre of the dry ingredients, we'll pour that wet ingredients, and little by little we'll bring in the sides, and I just want to gently bring that together. Okay, once it starts to get quite hard to whisk, remove it and then just change back over to the spatula just to fold everything together. Now, to make this extra decadent, and I just love the combination of chocolate and coffee, we're going to add some coffee. So I've just freshly brewed some coffee here, espresso. We'll add a little bit and slowly mix that in. And you may be thinking, why haven't I added that hot coffee to the buttermilk mixture? Well, I don't like to do that because it's still a little warm. You want to add it at the end so it melts in with the chocolate. And then slowly you'll see that we get a gorgeous consistency on this batter. Now, if you did want to leave out the coffee and just make it pure chocolate, you could absolutely do that. You'll just have to add a little bit more of the buttermilk and also the oil. All right, last little bit. And then again, just folding that together. Now, I've prepared my tin. I'm using a 22 centimetre tin, so I've just placed a bit of baking paper on the bottom, and I've oiled the side. I've also placed it on a tray. Anytime I use a springform tin, I like to pop it on a tray just in case there's leakage. We don't want that. All right, that can go straight into our prepared tin. And you can see that it's not going to be a huge cake, and there's a reason for this, because we need the space to add all of our ice cream later on. So scrape down the bowl, pour that in. And I've preheated my oven, 175 degrees for this cake, and it's going to cook for about 40 minutes or until a skewer is inserted into the centre of the cake. If it comes out clean, you know it's ready. All right, cake has come out of the oven, it's cooled completely, and I've just been whipping some cream. Now, you want to whip this for our ice cream so it's light and fluffy, so get as much air in it as possible. Now, I'm using a 600ml tub of thickened cream for this because I'm not only using the cream for the ice cream filling, but we're also going to serve this with a hot chocolate fudge sauce. So good. So we'll use the rest of that in the fudge later on. So we've whipped our cream, it's light, it's fluffy. This is my go-to ice cream. I love this. It works every single time. So some condensed milk, which is very sweet, and that'll sweeten up our ice cream. To that, I'll add our chocolate. Now, again, using really good quality chocolate. I'm using dark chocolate. I've just chopped it up into little pieces, and it has to taste like mint, and I get that from some mint extract, which you can get from all your supermarkets. So you just want a small amount, a little drizzle, give it a mix, and that is going to be so good. Now, we always associate mint flavour with green, so a little bit of green dye, and you don't want to add too much because you can't take it out. So I'm going to add 1 to 2 drops and just stir that in We don't want it to be a frog green colour. We want it to be a pastel green colour. Now, don't forget, we're going to be adding the cream to this now. So if it does look a little too pale, we can always add a little bit more of the dye. So I'll just put that on standby over here. And now for our gorgeous whipped cream, we're going to add a third of this. So we'll just add a little, and maybe another spoonful. And whenever I add the first spoon of cream, you can be a little rougher with it. And then once that's loosened up, we want to be quite light with it. So I'm actually going to transfer that to the bigger bowl, and we'll pour that into our fluffy cream and slowly work it in. Just get all those chocolate bits out. Fantastic. Okay, and this is where you want to be quite light-handed and just slowly fold in. So straight away, I can see that that looks too pale. I want it to be a deeper green colour, so a few more drops of green dye. Okay, fold away. All right, that looks great. So let's pop that to the side and prepare our cake. Now we're going to just take the springform collar off. We'll leave it on the paper. What we want to do is just trim off this dome at the top so we've got a flat surface. I also want some of that cake in our ice cream mixture. So putting your hand parallel to your knife and then just very carefully cut that little dome off so we've got a flat surface of our cake. Just take that off, pop that in a pile. Look at this cake, how fantastic is it? I'm just going to trim a little bit over here too, just to flatten it off. Great. Collar can go back on, fasten it, and that's ready to go. Now, all of this cake, you can just eat it as little chef's treats, or roughly chop it up like I'm doing, and we'll fold that through our ice cream so nothing goes to waste and we get an extra hit of chocolate. Great. And then into the bowl of ice cream. Great, we'll bring that up. And one last fold. All right, we are ready to pop this straight into our springform tin. We want to cover all of that chocolate base. And you can be quite liberal with it. It can go all the way to the top. This is the perfect amount of mixture. If there is a little bit of mixture left over, then you can just freeze it and eat it at another time if you like. Pour that on. And then with our spatula, we're just going to spread that out so it's quite even. Done. And now we wait. So a little bit of cling film over the top, just so it doesn't crystallise. Press that down onto it. So this needs to freeze for about 6 hours, but really you can do it overnight. You can even do it 2 to 3 days in advance. Now this cake has set, it's completely frozen and it's good as is. But if you want to take this to the next level, why not serve it with a hot fudgy sauce? I mean, I do have a little bit of this thickened cream left over. So into a pot, I'm going to add the remaining cream and a little more of that condensed milk. And to this, we'll add some more dark chocolate. Just to make it extra rich, why not a little butter? Now, I've got this on a really low heat. You don't want this to be on a high heat because the chocolate can seize. And just very slowly allow that to melt, and from time to time give it a stir. Now, while that's melting away, let's remove this from its tin. So we'll take off that plastic wrap. It's done its job. Oh, look at that pale pastel green colour, just right. And just slowly, we're going to take that mould off. Do it really slowly, and straight away, that'll come off. And that little bit of baking paper that we placed on the bottom there is really going to come in handy now as we take that off. And we'll just peel that back very slowly and place that onto a cake stand. Fantastic. And just for some finishing touches, some extra chocolate, and just grate that over the top. And now to cut a little portion of this chocolate mint cake. I've got my plate on standby. I also have a hot knife. So let's cut a little portion out. Oh, look at that, just like cutting through butter. And you can see that I'm not cutting little portions here. A nice generous piece of this cake. And have a look at that. That's a beautiful thing right there. Place that onto the plate. And our hot chocolate fudgy sauce. Well, we've just got to put this over the top, let it cascade down the middle, and it's hot. So naturally, you've got to eat this cake very fast. I kind of like that sensation of hot chocolate, cold ice cream, fluffy fudgy cake on the bottom there. And let it have a little taste. Bit of ice cream, bit of cake, bit of hot chocolate fudge. Put that together. That right there is an absolute dream cake. Oh, gee, it's good.